Listening.
Star Gang, what's going on? Saturday, we're going to do a quick Saturday Night Blitz. We have your boy, or your guy, Nix, I should say.
Look at that.
My bad. I was going to say
Golly.
your boy, BJ. You can find him on Twitter at your guy, Nix. And we have a special guest tonight. It's Rachael Van Oranje. She is a host personality on air with Houston Sports Show. She also does ESPN 975 or 97.5, depending on how you want to look at it. You can find her on all the Houston sports talks. She's big into fantasy football, big into bets, score predictions, things like that. So we're really excited to have her on. And she dropped off, so we'll add her back on whenever she comes back in. But
yeah, definitely. Yeah. Now look, before him, remember we had all this talk about hats. Look, no hat for your guy Nix this round.
Yeah,
I went hatless last time. Yeah, we're rotating the hat thing here. Give it a like, give it a share. Rachael will be back in here momentarily. She have a little internet complications there at the moment, so I'm sure she's about to jump right back in here. But yeah, Saturday night, these Falcons. You had a nice headline today, Matt. I like that headline.
I did, yeah. So my latest article on USA Today or USA Today.Cowboys Wire is the 4 big key statistics that we look at that measure how the Cowboys stack up against the Falcons, and we look at things like DVOA, EPA, toxicity, and Anya, and we kind of break it down piece by piece. And before we really jump into it, I give you a little synopsis of what the stat means, so you have an explanation before we do it. And it heavily favors the Cowboys, but we were also heavily favored last week, so don't take too much to that. But the headline, anyways, was, will the Cowboys feast on Falcons or eat crow? So hopefully it's the first and not the second.
Yeah, no crow. Yeah, no crow this week. Yeah, definitely no crow this week. But, we got to let it play out, and we'll try to get into a little bit of that here momentarily. See if Rachael can get back in here as our second guest this week for Atlanta. In case you didn't get a chance to, we had our guy Carl Dukes in here. Go make sure you check that one out as well. Earlier this week, it was a fun time with him talking about these Falcons and different things.
Trying to mix it up too. You get the Star Gang, the Fantastic Four, Fab Four, the Final Four, whatever 4 number you want to go with.
Right.
That's what you get on a weekly basis. And we know that you may not always want to hear our opinion, so we thought we'd go straight to the source and get people who are boots on the ground, connected to the team, or big fans of the team to get a second opinion. And, Mr. Dukes was nice enough to give us about 45 minutes of his time, and he picked the Cowboys to beat the Falcons. He said 26-20. He said that we will not beat the spread, but we will beat them straight up. So take that in mind. So now we're going to have Rachael. Hopefully she can jump back in. And if not, we'll just do a quick show with the two of us and hop off because Nix has a bachelor party tonight, and we don't want to keep him going too long.
Yeah, I'm
already. So, Nix, what are the plans, man? What's going on?
I was going to say, I'm already fashionably late. I was supposed to be over here at a particular eatery at 7:30. But, sometimes life happens. Got to call Audible. I got a good friend of mine that's kind of handling a little business for me. Look, I'm getting calls right now, everything. But, it'll be just fine. It'll just fine. No, look, let me just take this call real quick. Yeah. What can I do? I'm live.
Yeah, they're like, Nix, where you at?
Okay. All right, there, boom. So done deal on that end. So a little fun tonight. And then, of course, tomorrow, Lot 10. Your guy, Nix, I will definitely be out there at Lot 10 tailgating. I will be at the Falcons game. That's another part of the conglomerate of what's happening for this bachelor party / 2-day event that's going down. So if you're going to be out there at AT&T Stadium, by all means, come through. Lot 10 will be there. My guy Jay Tuck should be there as well. Another rider that way, Star Conscious, Matthew Lennox, he's going to be out there as well. Lot 10 will be tailgating. Then I'm pretty sure the plan is we'll be at Texas Live post game and go over to check out our guy Steels and Jesse Holly for their A to Z Sports post game wrap up and report over that way. So yeah, planning on having a really good time. And if you're going to be in the area, definitely come out to Lot 10 tomorrow and kick it with your guy Nix amongst others. With that being said, oh man, not an energy drink yet. There's a lot of things happening fast right now, Stu. Shout out to my guy Stu in the building, the antagonist as always. And there she is.
So Rachael, nice to have you back. So right below Nix and I is Rachael Van Oranje. You can find her on Twitter at GameDayOJ. She is on the Houston Sports Show. She's a live on-air anchor. She also does radio with ESPN 975. So definitely check her out, both of those. Now, Rachael is a Houston sports anchor, but she's a Falcons fan. So we wanted to have somebody who is connected, affiliated, a fan of the team to give a different perspective. So, Rachel, earlier this week, we had 97.9 in Atlanta host Carl Dukes. He actually used to do ESPN 975 when he was in the Houston area. Funny enough, He had a show called Put Up Your Dukes and Drive on Houston ESPN radio. And he picked the Cowboys to beat the Falcons 26-20. So he has us beating head up, but not winning against the spread. And I know you're into picks. So we thought we would have you on joining our channel to give us the Falcons perspective. So if I missed anything, where else can people find you and give us your thoughts on the Falcon season so far?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find me on Saturday nights at 10 p.m. on the Houston Sports Show. It's a TV show. And then on Sunday mornings, it's a radio show on ESPN 975. And I do know Carl Dukes. He's actually one of the first people that I listened to growing up. And actually, I'm not lying to you, he actually inspired me to get into this business. And I've told him that many times. So he's a really, really, really nice guy. And if I remember correctly, I feel like he is deep down a Cowboys fan. Like, I think he was raised a Cowboys fan. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, but maybe a little biased
news
there.
To us. He did not tell us that.
Yeah, I'm about to inbox him and talk.
He didn't share that with us.
Mr. Dukes.
I don't. Right? I don't know. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't know. But no. To the game. I mean, man, I was gonna spend money to go to this game. Just drive about 3 hours up 45 north here in Houston, and I decided that I am done spending money on games that I even think we could lose, because I went to week 1 versus the Eagles because I thought for sure, I'll spend all this money, go to Atlanta, go to the game, get these great seats. And then they just completely wet the bed, the Falcons did. And I got so mad and so frustrated at all this money I spent to just watch my team get destroyed by the Eagles of all people, of all teams. I decided I'm not doing it anymore. So I'm staying home. But with that being said, I do think that the Falcons stand a really good chance of winning this game, especially after their performance against the Saints. And then there's another half of my brain that's like, you know what? They always play the Saints tough and strong because it's one of those things. Yeah, we hate them. That's literally hate week for us. It's probably like how you guys feel about Philly, you know? Like it's just we cannot stand each other. It's fun. It's one of the most underrated rivalries in the game. And so, the Falcons blew an 18-point lead to Trevor Siemian? Like, are you kidding me? How does that happen? But of course, the Falcons, they will blow leads. So, and you know what? The last time I remember playing the Cowboys, last year, that game still haunts me. I think y'all won 40-39. The onside kick.
The infamous watermelon
kick. Yeah.
Yes, and
we're a little hurt, though. One time that we did play the Falcons, there was a Tyron Smith out, and some guy who never had, maybe never had 10 sacks in the season went off for about 6.5 on there over there on Chaz Green. So, we're coming off into this week with, Smith going to be missing again, right? So now we're going to put Steele out there, who gave up 11 pressures last week. A little concerning for us from that end, and a little PTSD from that Falcons game we had a couple of years ago in Atlanta whenever, oh my God, his name slips my mind.
Adrian Claiborne.
Adrian Claiborne.
He had 24 sacks aside from that game, and that game had 6.5 on us. So, yeah, I was there at that game. It was great. Falcons fans all around me just, down goes Dak over and over. So it was rough.
Wait, there were Falcons fans at the game?
Yeah, actually, believe it or not, there were about 35% of the Georgia Dome at the time were Falcons fans.
Yeah. The rest, Cowboys, we travel.
Yeah.
I mean, that definitely
for about 35%, maybe 40.
I'll be honest. We were talking about the ways that the Falcons could hurt the Cowboys, man. And the big thing I've kind of stamped on and been talking about all week is Hayden Hurst. I mean, we know about Pitts, okay. We know how Cordell Patterson's getting used in all these different sets and kind of a Swiss blade or a Swiss Army knife, if you will, Gage on the outside. But man, if you go to sleep on Hurst, I mean, and going back to the game last year with the watermelon kick, I mean, Hurst gashed us in the middle of the field last year. And if we get a little too caught up in the hype, as my guy was just saying, I just see Pitts and Ryan for fantasy points. And you go to sleep, man, Hurst can really hurt this team. So I'm definitely worried on the offensive side of the ball for for the Falcons. I'm worried about us matching up with 2 tight ends, and then defensively, are we going to be able to get some pass rush against Matt Ryan now that Randy Greger's going to be out as well? Your offensive line seems to be a little better, maybe kind of a little bit on the edges, but the middle's a little bit soft.
You're being nice.
Okay, I mean, I want to get your thoughts on your offensive line, even with Gregory out. What do you think this looks like for Matt Ryan with the Osas and maybe the Micah Parsons getting more involved in the pass rush?
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys, I know that your defense isn't, the world's greatest. Shout out Dan Quinn. I called that happening. But with that being said, it's not the worst secondary either, for sure. And y'all got good linebackers and everything. I definitely think that you guys can mess up Matt Ryan's timing. If he has to hang on to the ball a little bit longer, then yeah, of course, like all day you guys can get to him, or at least rattle him a little bit. We don't have a running game at all whatsoever. I think we're lucky to get 80 yards a game on the ground. So with that being said, when you don't have the ground game there to kind of offset the defense and how they're going to approach Matt Ryan, like I think you guys are just going to end up dropping a couple more back and, just disrupt that timing. It'd be really nice to have Calvin Ridley. That would help. But I don't know what he's doing or I don't know what's going on there. But no, offensive line, and definitely, they've spent a lot of high draft picks in recent years trying to build that offensive line, and it just, whether it's injury or it's just not working out or there's a lack of continuity with the offensive line, they are prone to give up Matt Ryan any time. So I wouldn't stress about your defense too much. I don't know. I'm depressed. It's depressing being a Falcons.
Well, that's
it's so crazy because you're coming up with
concerns. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry,
it's just funny because I was going to say, it's just so funny from coming off, even though they're giving the points late against the Saints game, right? You're riding high the Cowboys, Broncos, how that kind of went. You're kind of smelling this. Yeah, the Cowboys seems a little mad, and I don't know if this Falcons seems ready for an angry Dak, and it was what you're kind of giving me.
Yeah, no, Dak can go off at any time. I want to ask you guys, do y'all think that he's fully healthy? Like, is that a problem? I didn't watch the game against Denver, but of course I heard about it.
Right.
But, is he fully healthy? What do you guys blame that loss on? I mean, it was an ugly loss. I saw the score.
Yeah, Murphy's Law. What can go wrong will go wrong. Matt, I'll let you, from Dak and his calf strain, what do you think?
I thought Dak was moving around fine. I mean, they had a lot of pressure, like Nick's mentioned. Our swing tackle, who played right tackle, did a great job for 6 weeks while Collins was out, moved over to left tackle, gave up 11 pressures, 3 quarterback hits, and 2 sacks. So he struggled, to say the least. But it was kind of across the board. Like, our offensive line just really struggled in total. And then even when they had protection, Dak was missing receivers. So I like to chalk it up as it was a little bit of rust. I mean, after getting injured, then having a bye week, then missing a game, it's really been about 3 weeks since he had in-game action. And I think that with the offensive line kind of messed up his internal clock possibly a little bit because there were uncharacteristic misses. Like, he had CeeDee Lamb twice deep and overthrew him both times. And then even when he wasn't overthrowing, we had 3 huge drops on third downs. It was just a bad game. Like, as an example, we block a punt 16-0 coming out of halftime. We hold them to a 3-and-out, block a punt. The ball crosses the line of scrimmage. Broncos recover. It becomes their ball. 2 plays later, they have a 30-yard run. Next thing you know, it's 19-0. So what could have been a game-changing, like, catalyst play, where instead of it being 16-0, it's maybe a 1-score game. Now suddenly it's 3 scores, and it was just kind of downhill from there. So we couldn't tackle, we couldn't block, we couldn't catch, we couldn't throw. Just a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
basically it's one of those games where you don't want to just delete the film because you need it.
Right.
To watch it, but you watch one time through, and then you're done because there's not much you can take away and build off of there.
It was just throw it away and just move on. It was one of those kind of games. Here's what I look, but I do wonder somewhat, though. I do say that because some of the throws, even though Dak was off schedule and missing things, there was a lot of pressure on him, so he didn't really get a full gauge of where he was with the throw of the ball. But I mean, uncharacteristic misses, maybe pressing a little hard, maybe overcompensating. Literally trying to arm some balls at times. I think this week's gonna be a little bit more of an idea if it's okay or if it's not okay pertaining to the calf. As they said, he basically had the same calf injury that. Who ironically is coming back this week, Michael Gallup. But Michael Gallup had to go on IR and miss time. Now, granted, we get it, wide receiver, running every play, not the same type of movement that a quarterback has, but when you got a plant and throwing it is your plant leg, then you begin arming balls and you kind of lose some of your accuracy at times. So I think there's an asterisk there for sure, Rachel. I'm kind of with you a little bit, somewhat of, I think there's an asterisk there. Let's see early on in this game if Dak looks like he was prior to going out with the calf, or is it kind of more the same of what we saw in the Broncos game, albeit maybe not as much pressure, and kind of see from there? But I do find this interesting. Today, the spread moved by 2 points the other way. And there's nothing really that's came out or really been said. So, I mean, the spread moving 2 points the day before, something's up, in my opinion.
I think it's the money. I saw that too, because I got him earlier in the week. I think I got him Tuesday or Wednesday at the Falcons plus 10. So, and I'm seeing right now, when I looked right before I came on your show, I was seeing on the sportsbook that I use, it was plus 8. So that moved. And I also noticed, I remember the point total opening up at like 52 points, and now it's almost at 55. It's 54.5. So that's interesting to me. I definitely think that this may end up being a significantly lower scoring game than what people think it'll be. That's mainly just kind of my gut instinct. I've seen a lot of games with the Falcons of recent memory where they go in, Matt Ryan's hot, their team's putting up a ton of points, and they're going up against another team like last year with a healthy Saints team who was putting up a lot of points, and everybody's expecting it to just be this offensive explosion, and it ends up being like a 19-12 type of game, so something stupid like that. I could totally see that happening. I'm really excited to see Dan Quinn versus Matt Ryan. Who knows who better, Yeah, because who knows each other better than these two guys? So is there going to be maybe a little bit of an extra fire in this Falcons offense? Probably not, because a lot of the people that are playing, I just don't think that they resent him as much as, like, say, I do. But, that Super Bowl still burns deep in my stomach. But I would love nothing more. No offense, guys. I would love for Matt Ryan to just come out and destroy a Dan Quinn defense. I would love a high-scoring game, but I totally could see the potential of this going significantly under 54. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, leading up to this, I had it 27-24 Cowboys.
Okay.
The movement of the 2 points in the one I was saying, it was 10-8 is where I saw as well. So yeah, that kind of gives me pause from the 27-24 now a little bit. I think it's a tight game. I've said that out of the gate. Look, and honestly, to a certain extent, my brain kind of tells me the Cowboys might lose this game because if we can't block, I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter what we can really do if we're not able to block, because, as we said earlier, not only was Terrence Steele bad with 11 pitches on the left side, well, La'el Collins coming back at right tackle wasn't good either. And we have had an issue at center all year long. So, and now here comes Grady Jarrett, my God, and we know what he can do. He can be the wrecker of worlds if you don't handle up with him. So, man, I tell you, to a certain extent, I kind of think the Falcons definitely have a chance to win this game. I had it 27-24. I saw the point movement. I'm thinking maybe 24-19, maybe 24-19 Cowboys with my heart in hand. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I feel like the new spread 51 sounds, I'm not spread, but the new total sounds right. Like I could see it being a 31-20 game, maybe something like that. What I am concerned about, and we talked about it earlier. So Rachel, since you probably don't know this, I'm as like anti-kick field goals as possible. Like I want to be aggressive and go for it. Pretty much anytime you cross the 50 on fourth down, like that's who I am to my core. Our kicker out this week. So we have a kicker who's never kicked the field goal in the NFL starting for us this week. So that could be a big difference, especially with the Falcons having Younghoe Koo, who has 3 game-winning field goals, maybe 4. I think it's 3 this year. So he's been clutch for you guys. He was a Pro Bowl kicker last year. So if it comes down to being a special teams matchup, it may bode well for the Falcons in that regard. So that's something I'm a little bit concerned with, but I could definitely see this being a lower scoring game. I did want to mention too, in addition to Dan Quinn, we also have DeMonte Casey as our starting free safety and Keanu O'Neal at linebacker. So we have 3 former Falcons suiting up against this game. So it'll be one of those, who knows who better, because obviously Matt Ryan passed against both of those guys in practice for several years, and then he knows what Dan Quinn does. So that's kind of a little interesting.
Yeah.
Dynamic and storyline to throw into.
Yeah,
I had a question for you though, Rachel. So we were both, Nix and I, huge Kyle Pitts fans, like huge. We had the Pitts train movement. All of the fan base were like, how can he fall to us? So he landed in Atlanta's lap. You guys took him and said, we're not going to go quarterback. We think Matt Ryan has a few more years. Actually, you and I had a little debate on Twitter about that. I thought the Falcons were going to go Fields, but they took Pitts. He's on pace for an 1,140-yard rookie season, which is unheard of for tight ends. Obviously, with Calvin Ridley being out, that gives him even more targets. So what are your thoughts? Are you happy with him? Is he meeting your expectations? Is he exceeding it? Where do you feel as a Falcons fan?
Man, and you're talking about what he's on pace to get. I didn't know that. I hadn't read that anywhere or anything, but that's so cool to know because think about it, like the first 3-4 games, he was basically a non-factor in those games. And for him to already be on pace for that is insane. If Kyle Pitts has a good game, they usually win. So, he's an X factor for sure. Him and Cordell Patterson are just like, wow. But no, I was extremely happy. I was ready to burn jerseys and burn Mercedes-Benz Stadium down if they didn't take Kyle Pitts. I was not a fan of really any of the quarterbacks in this draft. Of course, Falcons fans, they all wanted Justin Fields. It's a very divided fan base. It's like you're either a Matt Ryan stan or you are I need a mobile quarterback. We want to get back to the Michael Vick era. Like, we need a mobile quarterback. Go sign Cam Newton. Go do this. Go do that. Justin Fields. But now you see how Justin Fields is working out. And I know that he doesn't have much to work with over there in Chicago. But, and he had a good game, a good second half the last time I watched him play. But with that being said, Matt Ryan is still got a lot of gas left in the tank. In fact, he's having one of the best seasons right now that he's ever had. And that's with no Julio Jones and basically no Calvin Ridley. He's doing it with dudes like Russell Gage and Cordell Patterson. No running game, no defense. He's completing, I think, almost 70% of his passes. He's got like 5 interceptions to 15 or 16 touchdowns. He's putting up 270 yards a game on average. This dude I don't understand why people are out. It's so hard to get a quarterback. It's so hard to find a generational talent. I live in Houston, Texas. Trust me. They got one nice thing the first time in their existence with Deshaun Watson, and then look what's happening with that. Right. Yeah, it's so hard to find a quarterback. Why would I ever, unless it's Andrew freaking Luck falling in my lap? I'm sorry, I'm sticking with Matt Ryan. I just am. Like, he's really good, and he can still, if the system is right around him, if we could just protect him a little bit better, these games, he's the only reason that this team has even won a couple of games. Like, he's not the problem, but I'm sorry. Rant there. I'm always defending this guy.
Yeah, well, and it's true. I have some friends of mine, and they're big Dolphins fans. And honestly, they haven't replaced, Dan Marino, and that's 20 years ago. Right. And it's very hard. That's kind of something that we went through as a fan base in Dallas. After when we went to Dak, and then should you pay Dak or not? It's like it's hard to get quarterbacks. You hand the blank check to when you have one. You give them the check. You move forward. That's just what you do. Now I do, from the Atlanta standpoint, obviously Matt Ryan's, he's on the worst side of 30 now, 35. There was 37, I think. Somewhere that range. I think
it's 36.
36, yeah, 36, 37. So. The hometown kid or whatever. See, I thought Atlanta would try to trade out and maybe take the draft comp. But it's going to be very hard because of the cap number that Matt Ryan had for them to really take a quarterback and move on from him. So to kind of put him behind the 8 ball. But it's very hard. No, back to your point, it's very, very hard. And if you got a quarterback that can still play, you better hold on to him as long as you can. Because if not, then you turn around and look at Carolina. They came full circle all the way back to Cam Newton.
Yeah, that is bizarre to me.
Yeah, who would have thought it, right? You're paying Teddy Bridgewater, who replaced him. You're paying the replacement of Teddy Bridgewater, and now you're paying Cam again. So, the circle of life, Hakuna Matata, Lion King, and whatnot. So, yeah, quarterback, definitely if you have one, hold on to him as best you can.
Yeah, absolutely.
But hopefully, I'm glad he can't run. That helps us, and I hope y'all can't block. So he wants to chunk and dunk and get down and not hurt us. So there's that too.
Yeah, it's very possible. Very possible. The Falcons are coming off of 2 really good wins against good teams, and they're starting to feel themselves a little bit. And this is exactly the type of game that we go into thinking guns blazing, and it's just nothing, just wet the bed. I would never put my money or your money or his money on the Falcons to win this game, but I did put it on the +10 because I just thought that was stupid. That just seems what?
It was way too high. Yeah. Out the gate, I was like, that's insane. Even though it's down to 2, I still don't like it where it's at now. But good for you getting in early and getting that full 10 for the good drop put on you. Kudos. So the Cowboys again, and of course the Cowboys versus the spread were undefeated until the Broncos. I don't think the Cowboys beat the spread this week either. So yeah, I think that's a pretty good safe bet. I'm going to run, guys. By all means, on y'all still got about 10 minutes left, but I am getting blowed up. I'm going to get strung up here soon. Thank you so much, Rachel. Definitely want to have you come back on, Professor O. Everybody in the chat. Thank y'all so much for tuning in and rocking with us. If you don't catch the first half of this, it'll be up here soon. You come back and catch everything that you might have missed. I'll catch you on the flip side. Lot 10 at the game tomorrow. Your guy Nick's will be there. Make sure you come on out and tailgate with your boy. Y'all have a good night. Peace.
Have fun.
You too. Yeah, so in case you missed it, Nick's is going to a bachelor party tonight. They're going to dinners, drinks, all that stuff. So he was like, I'll hop on for a little bit and then you had to go. And I said, it worked out well because you only had 30 minutes anyways. So a question for you. I noticed, actually I heard on Dukes and Bell, they had Chuck Smith on. The Falcons have been playing Grady Jarrett at edge the last 2 weeks a little bit, not starting there, but he's playing 10 or 15 snaps a game in pass rushing situations. Is that something you think the Falcons will continue to do to try to maximize the pass rush potential from him? Or is that something you know much about yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's such a versatile player. You can pretty much do whatever you want with him. The dude is a unicorn. He's really good, and he's probably, between him and AJ Terrell, however you say it, between the two of them, I mean, they're the only nice things that we really have defensively. But I like mixing it up. I like the idea of Dan Pease mixing it up. Anything to get some sort of edge, no pun intended. But no, trying to get him to come off the edge, because what's been happening all season is he's just getting double and triple teamed, and still nobody else, even though they're in single or probably just open, they're not rushing the passer. So I think they're just trying to, mix it up, free up some space for him to go in there and make some moves, because he's probably the only one who will rush the passer if given the chance. But this team, where they have like 10 sacks, I think, on the year. There are some players with more than that.
NFL right now.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. I don't know what they were thinking with the Dan Pease hire to begin with. That really threw me for a loop. I had to Google the dude. I was like, who is this man? And he seems to be really flaky and just kind of retire in the middle of nowhere whenever he wants to. And then, come back, and I don't know. I don't know what's up with the Dan Pease hire, but hopefully they switch that up next year. But to answer your question, I'm all for mixing up as much as you can, because ain't nobody else on, out of the front seven going to do anything.
Yeah. I believe I saw Fowler's back this week, though. Is that right? Is he back from IR? I thought I heard earlier in the week that he was either going to be back or they believed he could be back this week. So that
I was hearing the same thing that you did. I haven't checked on it today to see if, for sure or not, but that would be nice. That would be really nice. We'll take it.
Well, he was like your prize free agent acquisition last year. So if he could come back and contribute at all, that's good. We did the same thing as the Falcons with the retired DC route. Last year, we signed Mike Nolan as our defensive coordinator. That was Mike McCarthy's first hire. And he had not been in the NFL for 5 years at the time. 2015 was his last year in the NFL. And that was when he was the Falcons DC, when they had the 32nd ranked defense in the league. So nobody else wanted him for 5 years. And we were like, that sounds good. Let's bring him in and see what he can do with the Cowboys. And it was a disaster. So it didn't go well.
I was surprised when you guys took Dan Quinn. I thought he was going to have to go the college route for sure. I thought he was going to have to go the college route and rebuild his reputation, because literally the Falcons' biggest problem his entire tenure. I mean, the dude is still living off of the Legion of Boom. Like, he's still making money off of that defense in Seattle, which I'm not even sure he really deserves so much credit for, as opposed to the GM for just drafting really big players for the secondary and just putting a Hall of Fame caliber group together. Like, the Dan Quinn hire, it was just very bizarre to me, but I was like, okay, it's actually been a little bit better than I thought. But no, what he did, I mean, dropping the players that he took in Atlanta, and then the defensive schemes, and then, trying to delegate to defensive coordinators, and then taking away all their powers and doing it himself. And no matter what, it's just been atrocious every single year. It's never been a good thing. So I was just, shocked. I was shooketh to see that he did that you guys did that.
I can understand that. I mean, the last time we had to look at him as Cowboys fans was the Cowboys-Falcons game where you guys blew a big lead, and that's kind of what he was known for. And then the next week he did the same thing against the Chicago Bears, and I think that was the end of it for him that year. He's done a pretty decent job with the Cowboys defense this year. We're actually benefiting significantly from takeaways. We're getting,
Right.
Trevon Diggs has 7 interceptions this year, and we're +3 in the turnover margin, so we're in the top 10 there. So we're doing a good job of taking the ball away. However, we're still susceptible to getting beaten in the run game, and also we give up a lot of big passing plays. Against tight ends, I thought I'd bring it up to you since Nick's mentioned he's a little bit worried with Hayden Hurst, and obviously you have Kyle Pitts. Although he's not really a tight end, he's kind of that weapon of mass destruction. He can play wide receiver, he can play in the slot. You're going to play him all over the place.
Right.
But the Cowboys are 29th in the league against tight ends in terms of passing completion. We're allowing 77.8% completion rate in coverage against tight ends, and we're 27th in yards per target, just under 9 per reception for tight ends. So we haven't done a good job this year against tight ends. We haven't really faced a lot of teams with dynamic tight ends really since week 1, where we played against Gronk. Since then, we played some kind of mediocre tight ends. So this is the biggest matchup issue we're going to have to date right now, having a team with 2, relatively good tight ends. So I'm interested to see how we're going to match up with that. We have a safety, Jaron Kearse, who's 6'4". I think that's the route we're going to go against Kyle Pitts, just trying to take that size matchup away, because if you put KZ on him, KZ's like 5'10", 5'11", such a huge height mismatch when you have Pitts who's 6'5", 6'6"-ish. So
Right.
I think we're going to go that route, but nothing really the teams have done the last 4 weeks has worked well, except for bracket coverage him. And if you have to bracket coverage the tight end, obviously that means you have one-on-ones across the board elsewhere. So what are your thoughts? Who do you think will be the Falcons player of the game? If the Falcons win, what's it going to take? Is it going to be a monster game from Pitts? Is it going to be Patterson? A mixture there? Do you think Matt Ryan has a 300-plus yard game? Like, if the Falcons win, what's the blueprint?
I do think that Matt Ryan goes for over 300 yards, and I think he throws maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns. I just don't think it's going to be enough, honestly. I just don't. But with that being said, now that you're telling me all this stuff about how bad the Cowboys are against the tight ends, I'm like, this better be running some 2 tight end sets all game with Kyle Pitts and Hayden Hurst. I want to see that all day. But no, it's one of 2 players, right? It's either Kyle Pitts or it's Cordell Patterson. But I think that if one of them has a really good game, it kind of frees up the other one to also have a really good game. Like I said, it would be really nice if Mike Davis could run the ball, but I don't know what happened to him. And he used to catch a lot of passes too whenever he was with the Panthers, and they're not really utilizing him in that route, in that way either. So if he had a big game, that would be a game changer. If just anybody other than Kyle Pitts or Cordell Patterson could have a really big game, that'd be awesome. If Grady Jarrett can rush the passer, then props, give him the game ball. But when you were talking about who would be covering Kyle Pitts, are you familiar with Micah Parsons and Kyle Pitts kind of going back all the way? I think it was to high school. They used to play against each other. I think Kyle Pitts was a running back at the time, and Micah Parsons was something completely different than what he plays now. But there's a video that you can look up on YouTube, and they're good friends, I guess. But, they go way back. But Kyle Pitts was a defensive back, actually, and he body slammed Micah Parsons, who was a running back. And yeah, that's what it is. And anyway, so they were kind of talking about it, in the pregame, week-long presser and stuff, kind of going back and forth about that. And I know that Micah Parsons, you will see him sometimes on Kyle Pitts. He's really he said he's looking to get some get back for that wrestling style throw that Kyle Pitts, threw him down back in high school. He said that hit still hurts his heart. So
yeah, I can imagine. No, I didn't know that. I'll have to look that up. So appreciate you joining and dropping that gem for us. I'll have to look that up. Yeah, I could see the same thing. I mean, Parsons ran a 4.39 40. He's a freak at linebacker. Mm-hmm. But because Randy Gregory's out this week, he's on IR, and DeMarcus Lawrence is still on IR. We don't really have a pass rush, and I think Parsons is going to have to contribute there too. So he's going to primarily play middle linebacker, but in pass rushing situations, Dan Quinn's been moving him up on the line in nickel formations, which, teams in NFL are nickel 77% of the time, roughly, give or take. So it's a heavy passing league, so you want to match up well with that. But I think Parsons will probably get 10 or 15 snaps in pass rush, primarily play linebacker. But I would be shocked if they didn't match him up with Pitts at least a little bit in coverage to see if we can try to, get that freak versus freak matchup, just so that we don't have a mismatch, because it's hard. I mean, there's not a lot of defensive backs in terms of size that can match up with Pitts. He's 6'6" or 6'5", runs a 4.5 40, has like a 7-foot wingspan. He's just a freak athlete. So that matchup and Patterson are really the 2 matchups that Cowboys Nation's looking at. Like, how are we going to match up with these 2? If we can keep them in check, the rest of the weapons we feel relatively okay with going one-on-one. So I wanted to talk to you about that. I do know that we have to be respectful of your time. So I know you have some obligations you need to get off to. So I wanted to thank you again for joining. It's been a pleasure. Tell everyone really quickly one more time where they can find you. And then I'm going to, when I share this video on YouTube afterwards, I'm going to make sure to link you there too.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. And I really enjoyed being here with you guys. I wish me and Nix didn't have to cut it a little bit short. If you ever want to do it again, I'm more than happy to come on. But with that being said, you guys can, I post almost everything that I do to Instagram or Twitter. So on Instagram, it's @GameDayOJ. And then on Twitter, it's @GameDayOJ, but OHJ, because I had to make a new account. That's a whole nother thing. But yeah, you can find me on there. And then Saturday nights, 10 p.m., CW39 here in Houston. All of our episodes are uploaded. It's a really fun sports show. My co-host is a comedian. So, we talk about sports, but we keep it really funny and lighthearted for the most part. So we have a lot of fun. I do a sports betting segment on there. We did a man on the street at the Rockets game this week. A lot of good stuff over there. And then our radio show is probably unlike any sports radio show you will ever hear on ESPN. It's a little raunchy, but fortunately it's Sunday morning. So we're convinced that the FCC and no one else is listening. So we can just say and do whatever we want. And that's on Sunday mornings. We're kind of your pregame before you start watching football. It's on ESPN 97.5, ESPN 92.5 here in Houston. And you can also watch the show, the studio set up for Twitch. So it's twitch.tv/ESPN975. You can catch it all there.
Awesome. Thank you. And before you hop off, real quick, what's the score going to be? I need a prediction for you.
I'm going to go 31-27 Cowboys.
31-27. And Carl Duke said 26-20. So we'll kind of keep those in mind and see what happens. But thank you. I hope you have a great evening. I really appreciate you being on. And Cowboys Nation, we'll see what happens tomorrow. So you guys have a good rest of the Saturday night. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye.